Hey guys, Charles here from Stay Ready Outdoors, and today we're going to talk about our navigation setup. Alright, so the purpose of today's video is to talk about specifically which navigation setup I run in my Jeep when I'm out with my family or with group or even solo. I've gone through a lot of different iterations and hardware setups and things like that, and over the years of backpacking when I used to backpack, and then with Jeeping, this is what I have ultimately settled on. It's what works for me. Doesn't mean it's going to work best for you. It's not saying it's the best way, it's just my way, and hopefully you guys find it helpful if you're still trying to fine-tune your own setup and figure out what it is you want to run. So I'm going to go through a breakdown of the various apps we use, the hardware that I use, and then my mounting solution that I use, and talk about the pros and cons of each of those components and why I ultimately chose them. So for mounting, I chose 67 Designs, mainly because I liked their dash mounting solution for the Jeep, and I was really impressed with the pieces that I saw on other people's rigs and things like that. So I figured I'd give them a shot, and so far I've been extremely happy with them. Haven't had any rattling or loosening issues or anything like that on trails, or having this as a daily driver. And all in all, I found that if I want to mount it, there's probably a solution that they offer for it. So it's been really nice. No complaints, highly recommended. There's a lot of mounting solutions out there that are very good, anything from bullet point to ram mount, but this is what I chose, and I can't say enough about how good a quality it is. The spring action on the arms is really nice and strong. I've never had an issue with things loosening up, and you can really cinch these things down nice and tight so that you can get a good amount of rigidity to them. Same with the iPad mount. It's been good. No complaints. So why the iPad? More specifically, why the iPad Mini 6? I picked the iPad Mini 6 because the screen size was ideal for, I use it as my e-reader when I'm not using it in the Jeep, so there's that. I didn't want some big giant screen that would be staring my wife in the face when she's sitting shotgun when we're out exploring and stuff like that. And it's a perfect, to me it's a perfect size for navigation, because I can see everything I need to see on it without it being too obtrusive, or without being too small and having to really kind of really focus on it. I can really see it easily while focusing on the trail, glancing over things like that. To me, it works really well. Yeah, I could have used my phone and ran through the Uconnect, but let's be honest, the Uconnect, at least for the 23 and under model years of the Jeeps, it's not known for being the fastest, the best. It has its issues. I've had the apps crash on it and things like that, and really all it's doing is mirroring what's on your device anyways, and it doesn't even mirror the full functionality. You don't get as much of the information that's displayed on the full app when you're viewing it for the Uconnect. So to me, that really wasn't it wasn't going to work for me. I want the Jeep Uconnect to be there for my trail, my off-road pages, for all my gauges and things like that. I want it to, when I need to use my trail cam, or my backup camera, or any of the other functions that the radio itself has, I don't want to be constantly switching back and forth between my nav app and whatever I'm doing at the moment. Just if I want to switch satellite stations or whatever, and peruse, I don't want to deal with that. So I like having a dedicated tablet just for navigation. That way it's up, it's running, it's doing what it needs to do, and I can use the radio for everything else that I need that to do. So that's why I chose that. All right, next we'll be talking about the Garmin. So you can see here the size of the Garmin Glo. It's small, it's smaller than the Midland handset that I have in here. It holds a charge very well. It runs for days without ever, I haven't had to charge it like in the middle of a trail ride or anything like that, as long as I top it off the night before. You can even leave it plugged in. But it's unobtrusive. It's got this nice sticky pad like case thing that you just, I usually just let it sit up there, and that's where it lives when I'm out exploring and things like that. And then, it connects via Bluetooth to the iPad. So like I said, I don't have a cellular capable iPad, so I could have either used my phone or that. I already had that, and now 2 is 1 and 1 is none, so I have redundancy in the event that one of them fails. I'm not now without the ability to use GPS. So that's why I have the Garmin Glo. Some of you may ask, well, why have a standalone GPS receiver when phones these days, iPads these days, tablets and stuff, they all have GPS in them, and that's absolutely true. And in the past, what I realized was an issue when I used to backpack and things like that was the chips or the GPS in phones and stuff like that it's very power hungry. So at that time, I was worried about running the charge down on my phone, because that was one more thing I had to carry, and ounces equal pounds and all that. So I wanted something that was lightweight, that wouldn't suck up battery on my phone to run, that was accurate and reliable. So at the time, I bought the Garmin for when I backpacked. Well, because of medical issues and things like that, I don't get to backpack anymore, but I still get to go and camp and things like that. So I repurposed it to use with my iPad. And since I didn't buy the cellular one, bonus, right? In the past, I noticed that the iPhone GPS, it wasn't as accurate as they are now. They were slower. I would have issues with them not keeping up with whatever speed I was driving. So I'd be on a trail, and there was a turn coming up, and maybe there was a couple different options for offshoots or whatever, and I would miss it because it wouldn't be keeping up with me. Now it's not really an issue, even with having the phone mounted on my dash further back from the window, where maybe it doesn't have as much of a view as the sky as the Garmin does sitting up on the dash. But so far nowadays, I've noticed that, like with the iPhone 15, they're really pretty much neck and neck as far as accuracy and speed goes. But like I said earlier, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. So I like having both for redundancy's sake. And that may not be necessary for all of you. Maybe you're comfortable not having both of them, but I think for the price, it's worth having the Garmin as an extra option. Just my 2 cents on the matter. So hopefully that kind of explains why I personally run it, and maybe you'll find that useful. So just for the sake of showing you what I mean by accuracy goes, I'm going to show you a couple screen grabs off my phone. Sitting in the Jeep, in my driveway at home, I'll have the phone in the mount on the dash, and then I'll have the Garmin on the dashboard up closer to the window, and I'll show you a difference between the two in terms of accuracy, and you can see kind of what I was talking about. Okay, next we'll talk about apps. I've used Onyx, I've used Trails Off-Road, I've used Gaia, I've used a couple others that I didn't care for right away, and so they didn't last long enough for me to even really remember what they were. But ultimately, I settled on mainly using Trails Off-Road. And Trails Off-Road it's an app that has trail information for places all over the U.S. They're constantly adding trails. It doesn't have as many different roads and trails on it as, say, Onyx does, but where it may be, and I won't say lacking, but where it may not have as many in that regard, what I do like is how they present the information they have on the trails that they do have. I haven't really run into too many trails that I've wanted to go on that I needed trail information on and it didn't have it. I can't even think offhand of what I have run into where it didn't have it. And even then I was able to find that information on Gaia, so it wasn't really that big an issue. But anyways, the point being is that I like the way that Trails Off-Road presents information, and I'm gonna show you that right now on the screen, what kind of information you're gonna find on there. All right, Trails Off-Road. We're gonna look at the San Bernardino Mountains, more specifically the Big Bear Lake area, and we're gonna check out a trail that's on the north side called White Mountain. So you'll see here, we'll bring it up, it's gonna give you a thumbnail image, and as you scroll down, you'll see basic trail information ranging from elevation to the connector type to best direction traveled, and you'll have their trail rating system. You'll have their difficulty based on mandatory or optional obstacles. You'll see current trail status, the approximate distance you'll be traveling, the duration, what ranger districts or management agency covers that area. And as you scroll down to the highlight section, you'll get a basic description and highlights of what it is that, what makes this trail attractive. Scrolling down into some of the more important stuff, you'll see the trail difficulty and assessment. It's going to tell you the recommended vehicle that they believe would be best for running this trail. Concerns, like for instance, this one shows that there's you could run into issues with wider vehicles. You're going to have some mild off-camber spots and pinstriping. The summary kind of gets a little bit more into that and kind of gives you a reason as to why it has the rating that it does. A neat option that they added not long ago was the community consensus, which you can leave a trail review using that indicates whether you believe the trail is easier, if the current trail rating is spot on, or if it's harder. Like for instance, this one right here, it seems like people are rating it harder. Maybe that's because of all the rain that we've had and things like that. Trail navigation is when you're going to get into a description on the actual navigation aspect of the trail, what kind of obstacles you're going to encounter, and why it has the rating it does. It's going to be a little bit more detailed information than the stuff above as far as why it may be difficult or not difficult. Then you're going to get into the waypoints, and each waypoint is going to have a breakdown of what it is, how far into the trail it is, and why it's indicated. Whether it's a camping spot or maybe a particular turn that you need to pay attention to, if it's an obstacle. And then the nice thing is when you get to obstacles, usually it'll have a breakdown as far as, okay, you've got this hill climb, you have multiple ways that you can take it. This is going to be the easy line, this is the hard line, this is going to be the moderate one. So you'll see all that as you go through the various waypoints. So scrolling back up, you'll also see that there's a review section that has where you can leave reviews of your experience on the trail, in photos and stuff like that, which I find sometimes can be very helpful for determining if a trail is open recently. Maybe there's a ton of rain or something like that, and you're wondering if it's got washed out or whatever. So that's where you'll find that. But the most important thing, and the thing that I like best about Trails Off-Road, is how easy it is to upload things to Gaia using it. So I love how they interplay with each other. And the way you do that is you'll click on navigation options, and then right there you'll see upload to Gaia GPS. And when you tap that, usually it takes a second or two. Depending on how complex the trail is and how many waypoints there are, it may take as long as 10 seconds, but eventually you'll see something that says track uploaded, and that means that it has successfully pushed all that over to Gaia GPS, and we'll talk about that in the next section of the video. All right, Gaia GPS. So I just got done showing you how Trails Off-Road works, and now I'm going to talk about Gaia GPS. So you can see here, White Mountain, the track that we uploaded into Gaia. It's there now. It shows the waypoints. If you click on the waypoint, it'll show you it'll show you the waypoint name and things like that. It's not as comprehensive as what you'll find in Trails Off-Road, but it's got, you know, basic information in there. But really at this point, if you're on the Gaia screen, you're using it for the navigation aspect and you're not reading trail or waypoint descriptions. So that's what I like as far as features go when it comes to pairing with Trails Off-Road. Something else I like, and they've really done a good job with the current version, the most recent version they've implemented for the app, is how simple everything is. You know, your layers are very simple to go through, and they have tons of layers, which I really like. You can see here you got satellite topographical maps. You can adjust the opacity of them so that you can overlay them. You got cell coverage, you've got winter maps, rain forecast. Nat Geo has their own premium map pack you can upload to it that's really cool, that I highly recommend checking out. You've got USGS Topo, and then, you know, those are just ones I have. I mean, you got tons of options here, so I really like that. Another thing is, you know, all the data that's available to be displayed at the top here with your route tracking and things like that. You've got, like, I chose to have distance traveled, my pace, elevation, GPS accuracy, which is showing all messed up right now because it's not connected to anything, but your speed, your elevation. But the cool thing is that you can add, there's all sorts of different options that you can display for descent, ascent, distance traveled, max speed, pace, coordinates, your course, sunrise, sunset times. So it's a really neat piece of software that I really like, and it has been extremely useful in so many ways. Highly recommended. Yeah, so it's very intuitive. Another thing I like is the ability to download your area maps ahead of time. So it's great because you can download like a grid, essentially. You can see here the ones that I've downloaded. I have maps of certain areas that I traverse a lot, so I have those already saved to the memory for offline use with Gaia when I'm out, and maybe I don't have cell service or anything like that, and now I don't have to worry about whether I'm going to have, you know, map data for that area. So before a trip, I will usually go and add in whatever area I'm going to be in. It's been really, really handy. All right, so that's the setup I use. Those are the apps. That's the equipment. I'm really happy with everything overall. It's been a process dialing in all this stuff and figuring out what I like to use. Hopefully it's helpful to you. Hopefully you find it interesting and it helps you in dialing in your own setup. Something that I should have touched on earlier is that I really like to use these apps to find new trails and roads and things like that, because you can really deep dive into them. I really like the information that's presented in TO, so it's fun to sit there and be like, hey, you know, I haven't been to this place before. Like, let's go see what trails or whatever are available in that area, and you'll go and I'll go and look and find a trail and click on it and go through all the photos and the description, and then I'll read the trail reviews, and you know, it's been really helpful in finding new places to explore and new adventures to go on. So I think that was worth mentioning. Ultimately, you know, I really appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to talk about this stuff and to share my experience and the few little bits of knowledge that I have gained over the years. And if you found this video useful or helpful, please please subscribe. I'm going to be putting out more videos. Share them. You know, that's a big help. Help me grow my viewers, and so I can get this information out there and hopefully hone my craft. If you have any comments or suggestions, criticism, whether it's positive, negative, whatever, I listen to it all. please drop it in the comments or send me a message or whatever, and I'd be very, very happy to take a look at it and hopefully implement it. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.